Hello VRay users, Alex here, your VRay guide, and thanks a lot for joining me to this free webinar on the basic modeling and basic lighting, with of course a lot of really useful tips and tricks for 3DsMax and VRay users. Today we're going to cover how to work with DWG files, how to import them, how to view them, divide them, and of course model the room with from those DWG files. It's going to be the first step. The second step is going to be about setting up the lighting and a little tips and tricks of fixing the lighting and tweaking it in order to get really nice realistic results. So it's pretty much basic stuff, but I know that in each basic stuff there is a lot of small things that if you're gonna miss, you're not gonna get good results. So I'm going actually to concentrate on those little details that brings me those really nice photorealistic images. Okay, so first thing, I'm going to open my 3DsMax, and I'm going to use the 2013 version. As you see here, I have four screens, and the first thing that I want to do is always I want to check my unit setup, and I'm working with millimeters. Now I tried different methods, working with centimeters, meters, inches, and somehow in millimeters VRay calculates the fastest. I get really fast and nice and realistic result. In the United States, I have worked with several studios that worked with inches, and after advising those studios to switch from millimeters into inches, they started to get really nice result. Also with lighting, textures, everything really works nice with millimeters. So I warmly recommend you to have your workflow and your system unit setup being set up to millimeters. However, if you want to display your unit setup, you can always change here into metric or centimeters or inches. If it's United States, you can check this out here. I'm going to use generic units and on the international mode. Okay, so this is my setup. Another important thing is I'm using real-world textures, real-world parameters, in order to have my textures to be applied with the real size, real-sized, world-sized maps. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to take my DWG file and import it into Max. So I'm having this really basic, simple scene, and I'm using DWG viewer, which by the way is free for download. And if you go to Autodesk website, you can get this viewer. With the help of this viewer, you'll be able to see, to check your different DWG files. Okay, so as you see here, this is pretty much basic scene here. We have top view, we have side views, and just from taking a look at this file, we can say that this side will cover the front part of our room. This will be the back side, and those guys here will be the left and the right side. Okay, as you see here, this is a perfect plan because it got all the sides. However, not in perfect world, there can be also different files. As you see here, I have 30 different DWG files which I'll be giving in the coming workshop. But if we just take a look at one of those files that's been a little bit more complicated to see, let's open this here. we can get only 3 parts. We can get front, back, or top and back. As you see here, it's pretty much complicated stuff for each floor, but we have only tops. So by only having top view and side view, we actually can build a room. And as you see here, I have side view and I have the top view. I don't have views for each side, but by using three parts, I can actually build a room. So it's not a big deal if you don't have all of those parts. So this is my file, and I'm going to drag and drop it on the top view. Import, and I'm going to press Alt W in order to open it in a window. And as you see here, I need to change color in order to see it better. So I'm going to give it a different color here. And as you see here, this came with different parts that's been attached. So basically my mission, I need to detach those parts and make each part separately in order to place them one against each other, in order to place them in each view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this guy here. I'm going to go in their segments here, and I'm going to select those segments, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to find detach option right here. I'm going to press detach, and it's going to give me a name. You can give a name. I'm just going to press OK, but you can, if you have some time, you can also give names to your files. And this procedure I actually need to do for every file that's been connected. So if this guy here connected, I also need to go to segment and detach this, detach this. So you can use Archicad or AutoCAD or any architectural program that actually works with those DWG files in order to clean them, because sometimes those files can have different measurements and different addings. So all this stuff you don't really need to have. So by detaching and closing and deleting and all this stuff, you can do an architectural program. So it's not really necessary to do it in 3DsMax, but I just want to show you a really nice way of making this in 3DsMax. Okay, so as you see here, I have detached all my parts, and now I can start grouping them, giving them names, group. So this one going to be top, and this guy is going to be front. So I'm going to give it a group and go front. This little guy is going to be back. If this one's front, this one's back, of course. So I'm going to give it a name back. And this guy is going to be on this side, so it's left. And if this guy is going to be on that side, it's going to be right. Okay. So now what I need to do is I need to place this in the middle of my screen, and I need to rotate those guys and place them according to this drawing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, and by selecting angle snap tool, I'm going to rotate it like that, and place it on this edge right here. This is actually this part. So I'm going to press P just to show you how does this thing looks in perspective. Okay, I'm going to press T and go back to my top view. I'm going to rotate this one, oops, and place it. just like that. I'm going to rotate this one. And place it as well. So eventually I'm supposed to get a room that's being made from those DWG files. Okay, I'm going to press P, Z in order to see my creation here. F in order to go to front view, Z again. I'm going to lift this up, and I actually want to place those guys on the 0 level, so all of them will actually fit perfectly my floor. Like that, and this last one like that. Okay, so I'm going to press P, Z, and voila, this is what we get. We get room that's being made out of DWG files. The second thing is we need to know that we are in the right measurements, because sometimes DWG files can be with different measurements, and they can be big, small. So very important to place your DWG files in the center of the scene. If you place it somewhere else, like really far, like here, your light will not distribute properly, and you might get errors such as far from origin and different errors that VRay gives in order to indicate that the file is far from the center, from the ZY axis. So this is what you want to do. You want to place it always in the center in order to get really nice lighting distribution. The second thing is I'm going to group it, and I'm going to call it DWG. Now, of course, it's a good thing to give it a layer and place it on a separate layer so that you can hide it and unhide it anytime you need. Press enter, and here we go. We have this DWG file that you can hide and unhide. Okay, so I'm going to go back on my default layer by pressing a V here, and I want to start modeling. Okay, but before I do that, I want to make sure that I'm in the right measurements, because the measurements for DWG files can be different. Okay, so I'm going to go to my helpers, and I'm going to take a tape, and I'm going to use this tape to measure. And the measurement says it's 4471. I'm in millimeters, that means it's 4 meters, 4.5 meters. 4 meters and 500 centimeters, okay? Which is a little bit too high, in my opinion, because 4 meters ceiling is something that is really high. Now, I know for this type of apartment, it got high ceiling, but not super high ceiling. So 3 meters will be probably fine. So something about, I can also specify the length. So I want to have 3 meters. 3 meters, as you know, it's going to be 3,000 centimeters. So this is going to be my height. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my DWG drawing, and I'm going to scale it down to match my measurement. Scale it a little bit more. Oops. That way I can get proper measurements that will actually fit what I'm trying to do. So I know 3DsMax, working with 3DsMax is a very gentle process. So don't rush on this stage. It's one of the most important stages, and you need to be very accurate in order to get good results. Okay? So after I measured it and I got really nice result, I can delete this. Now is the stage that I can start modeling. The modeling will be made with 2.5 snapping tool. 2.5 because I want to snap as you see here, I'm snapping two vertices. I'm going to click, right click here, and by default it's been on grid points. You want to deselect this and you want to select only snap to vertices. So you want to snap to vertices on the 2.5 option. What it does, it actually takes all the vertices here, like 2D, but 3D will actually give the height, and I don't want to have the height. I don't want to have the Z height. So I want to place all vertices in one level, and in order to do that, I need to use 2.5 snapping option. So I'm going to go to my line, and I'm going to start modeling my walls, which is supposed to be pretty easy. As you see here, I'm scrolling my mouse back and forth in order to zoom in and zoom out. And when I'm going to close my last line, it's going to give me the message if I want to close the spline. I'm going to say OK and add extrude field modifier to it, as you see here, and I'm going to give to extrude my ceiling height, which is 3000 millimeters, 3 meters. So voila, I have my first wall created. I'm going to give it a name wall, and I'm going to keep modeling. By using the same snap tool. Oops! As you see here, I missed one vertex here. So what I can do, I can click back and delete it, and go back and actually fix that. Closing the spline, and of course here I can also go to my previous wall, copy, and by selecting the new line here, I can paste it, so this wall will also get height. Okay. Going back, I'm going to keep modeling this room, which is pretty fast, pretty easy. Same method. Snapping to with a 2.5 option tool to the vertices, and pasting the extrude modifier to those guys here. Which is a pretty fast and easy method. I don't really recommend you to clean the DWG files and do the modeling from those files, simply because they can create bugs in the future, and stuff like that you really want to avoid. Now, as you see here, I didn't model it pretty good, so what I can do, I can always go and fix those vertices to match my DWG drawing perfectly. Okay. Same goes here. And same goes also to this file. Oops, and I need to also to fix this one as well. Just like that. Okay, pretty easy method. Always remember, use spline in order to model your walls once again. Okay, the next stage is to do the fillings here between the doors. I'm going to press P to go to perspective and see what I've got so far. I've got walls, as you see here. Now I need to do the filling between the walls. So with the same method, I'm going to do the filling between the walls. So I'm going to start from the window, and as you see here, extrude. I don't need to have 3000. I'm going to put 200 here, and I'm going to press F, and I'm going to move. I'm going to see. I need to see how tall is my window here. So it's about 60 centimeters and about 15. Oops. Yeah, that's about it. It's always the window frames in the classic interiors would probably be around that amount, 60 centimeters from the ground. Okay, and I'm going to do the same stuff here. Also, we're going to add extrude. And as you see here, the last extrude that was applied, I can see I got the artifact here on the side. So I'm going to delete it and model it one more time. Okay, and I'm going to add extrude here. As you see here, the last extrude that was applied been automatically applied to the new ones. So I'm going to duplicate it and move it up, and move to my last window. Same stuff here. As you see here, if the line doesn't go well, you can always go back and remodel that. This stage is supposed to be very accurate if you want to have nice and clean walls without any segments in between, without any light leaking or light bleeding. You gotta fill this up. Okay, now we can fill our doors. So let me just show you what we have. I'm gonna press P, Z, and F3 in order to see the view. So this is what we have so far. And as you see here, in those guys here will be probably will go the heating, because this is classic interior for European countries, and in European countries, almost under any window we have a heater. In winter in Europe it's really cold. Oops. So heater is one of the most important things that you should put in interior designs. In hot countries, we're probably going to have air conditioners. So I'm going to press L and go to my left view in order to see how this over door wall is being distributed. So I need to add a little bit more here. Something about it. P, Z, and voila, I have this over door. That's pretty good. Now we can move to another one. Last door, and create that filling, close the line, add extrude, and of course move it up above the door. So this is front. If I want to view the back, I'm going to press V and then K. I'm going to view it from the back. As you see here, it's a little bit too high, so you can always lower it. It's very important to know all the hotkeys in order to have your really fast workflow. So I'm going to press P again, and voila, I have made my room. The only thing is missing is the floor. So same here, I'm gonna go through the line and make the floor. With the floor, I always try to go in minus when I'm adding extrude, because I want to go from the level 0 down. So I'm going to add extrude and I'm going to do minus 50. And in that case, if I'm going to press F and see this from the front view, as you see here, if I'm going to go into plus, I'm going to go up. And each model that I'm going to bring is going to be in the floor. And I want to avoid that. In order to do that and not mess with your floor by moving it up and down, you just go into minus. Minus 50 will do the job. I'm gonna press Shift and duplicate this and make my ceiling. Voila. Press OK. And we've got our roof. Really nice done. Okay. So after we've finished working with our DWG files, we can go ahead and close them, hide them. So I'm going to press here, hide. I'm going to hide my DWG files. It's very important to delete all other layers that most likely coming with the DWG files. If you work with ArchiCAD, you can have a lot of layers here, and just make sure you delete them and you group all the DWG file in one layer. You want to have your drawings, your architectural plans on one layer. Okay, so you see here I have my room, and now it's the time to go ahead and take the camera. I'm going to use VRay camera, physical, of course, and I'm going to place it in the room. Now, as you see here, my snap tool is still on, so I'm going to delete the camera, and I'm going to go and deactivate my snap tool because I don't need it anymore. This way I can much freely start working with my stuff here. Okay, so I'm going to press C, and I'm going to go up with this camera. Now, very important thing, you want to activate your show safe frame, and in order to see it better, you want to put it on the shaded mode. Okay, so I've set up my camera. Now, each time when you're setting up your camera, it's very important to go and to reset your camera. So my default reset settings is F number 4, neutral, shutter speed 100, and as you see here, it was 65 by default, and the color balance is kind of bluish. This is more towards daylight. We can fix that later, but with our test renders, we want to put it on the neutral. And neutral is just perfect white. If you want to learn more about color balance, you can go ahead and watch my videos on my blog. So I've set up my camera, and now we can go ahead and set up our rendering settings. So I'm going to open the rendering dialog, and I'm going to go through those parameters here. Of course, the first thing I want to do is activate frame buffer, and on the global switches here, I want to kill this guy, filter maps, because I don't want to have I don't want to filter my maps. It just takes double amount of time to render, and it's not necessary to do. So I always turn this guy off. The next one, I'm going to use adaptive subdivision, which is pretty fast. If you want to have high quality, you probably want to use adaptive DMC, but for this purpose, I'm going to use adaptive subdivisions, and we have its parameters here. -1, 2, everything by default. I'm going to close anti-aliasing because in this purpose it's also a time consumer, and we're not going to do that. I'm not going to use it. In environment, I'm not going to put anything. This is more for HDRI lighting. And in color mapping, of course, I'm going to use my fake linear workflow, exponential, and gamma 2.2. I can also sub-pixel mapping and clamp out. Those guys always go together. This is a pair. So if you want to clamp out your colors, you want to have wide range of pixel depth, you can clamp it out, but make sure you're also activating the sub-mapping pixel. Okay, so those guys here will be good for rendering JPEGs or PNGs. Next one is going to be global illumination. I'm going to activate and use primary irradiance map and secondary light cache. And in irradiance map, I'm going to use very low settings. And I'm also going to lower my hemispheric subdivision and interpolation samples to 35 and 15. Here I'm going to, the light cache I'm going to lower to 500. And as you see here, my number of passes is my number of my processors. I have 8 cores, so it's going to be 8. Pre-filter 50, and use light cache for glossy rays. This is all glossy reflections will be optimized with the light cache. This is really nice option. For the filter, you don't need to use any filter. You just click none here. And the last option is show calculation phase. We want to see fast results. So this guy is going to show us how our actual image being built from light cache calculation. So we want to see the calculation. On the global settings, there's nothing to be changed except this one, which is dynamic memory. I'm going to put 7,000. I have 8 gigs on this computer, which is not much. So I'm going to have 1 gig for system operation, and I'm going to use 7 gigs for operating this render. Okay? Render elements is something that is more advanced, which we're going to go through in our upcoming workshop. But for this matter, this is the settings that you should know. And I think now we can start and do our first test render. Oops, nothing happens, everything's black. Okay, let's see what happened here. Our camera probe is standing here in the room. Oh, we need to add lights. This is one of the most important stuff that we didn't do. So for this purpose, I'm going to add windows, and I have here file with windows. I'm going to merge those windows here. So I warmly suggest you to add all the stuff first and not do the small renders, because if you do small renders before you add a lot of stuff, you will just start losing time and trying to perfect the things. So what I do, I just throw everything inside in the scene according to the plan, and then I start to work with the light. So as you see here, I have a lot of windows. I'm going to use, of course, only one. So this window is going to work perfectly for my purpose. As you see here, this window is a little too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it, and the best rotation, of course, with the snap tool, just like that. And I probably need to resize this window a little bit. Right here. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to press F just to match the height of my window. And I can duplicate this by using instance option. Instance is actually keeping the same model in the memory, in the 3DsMax memory, and it handles it as if only one object in the scene. so it doesn't take actual memory for calculating. The next thing is we want to add lights, so I'm going to add VRay light, and I'm going to place them exactly in my window just to cover that space right here. This is very important to make sure your lights matching your. I'm going to press G because this grid is kind of distracting. So by pressing G, I'm going to place my lights, so something somewhere here, and I'm going to also clone those lights. And you can use instant mode also here. And I'm gonna clone the same light for my door as well. I'm going to rotate it. As long as you don't change the parameters of this light, I mean, you don't change numerically here, you just scale it. You can clone with instance all your lights. Just make sure your lights matching perfectly this scene here. Okay, so here we go, and I'm gonna use the same light for the other door. Okay, place it here. Now what is left for us to do is to take those lights and to make them invisible. So just because they all instance, all of them will be invisible. And we need to use those lights on a skylight portal mode. All those lights that are being used as a sky portal will transmit particles into our room. They're not actual lights, they're only portals for the particles. And the particles being produced from our VRay Sun and VRay Sky. So we're going to add VRay Sun. And as you see here, I'm positioning the sun and I'm getting this message from VRay Sky that's been also created. So by adding only VRay Sun, we're also adding VRay Sky. And I'm going to increase the size multiplier for about 4, just to have a little bit softer shadows. And you can also lower the sun multiplier a little bit from 1 to 0.75, so the sun will not burn the floor. So now we can go to the camera, press F3, and click render. And as you see here, our light cache calculation starts to work and we start to getting results. And we get immediate feedback from our scene. Okay? I'm going to cancel this render because as you see here, all my scene is green, and I'm going to add some textures to it in order to have better sense of lighting, what is going on. So I'm going to press on my material editor. Oops. Press my material editor, and I'm going to load materials for my friend here, Stanislav Oreho. There's a big library of materials. It's really you can build your own library of materials, but I found this one pretty much useful. And for a classic room like this one, this would be perfect. So I want to add some nice wood floor. I'm going to press OK, and I'm going to add this wood floor to this guy, to my floor. And you also want to probably give it a name and not have a name as line 1. I'm going to go inside the texture and I'm going to press this button here in order to display. However, in order to see proper distribution of this texture, I need to add UVW. This is what I'm going to do next. I'm going to press U and find here UVW mapping, and by adding this, voila, my floor gets really nice and proper texture. Okay, the next one is going to be probably walls. So I'm going to take a wall here, maybe something creamy like that, and I'm going to press F, Z in order to zoom out, select all my walls here, without the sun of course, and apply this texture to my walls. I'm going to press C to go to my camera, and I'm going to press on this M in order to go inside my texture. And as you see here, we need also to add UVW map. As you see here, I selected all my walls and I'm adding UVW map to this scene, and all my walls getting this alignment for the wall texture. And the last one of course is going to be the ceiling. So we have here ceiling somewhere, white stucco, this probably would be good for this purpose, and also this one got some textures. So again, UVW mapping, and I'm having texture for my ceiling. I can also zoom out a little bit by selecting my camera and going up. As you see here, I'm using focal length of 40. I can use up to 28. 28 will be the most exaggerated angle. Everything below 25, 28 lens will be very, very unnatural, will have very unnatural look. And as you see here, I forgot to add the texture to my lower walls. So this is what I'm going to do. And same here, I'm going to add UV, and voila, all my room got really nice textures and ready to be rendered. Okay, so I'm going to press the render button and let this calculation go through. Okay, so this is the most basic stuff, but we have covered some really nice cool tips and tricks for making this simple interior just in no time. As you see here, it took us about 20 minutes, maybe less, to build the whole interior, to add all the textures, to set up the lighting, and as you see here, the render being executed pretty fast. So I think within 2 to 3 minutes we're going to have this render. I'm using a laptop, a box laptop. Of course, desktop computer will be much better as a working station for this purpose. But right now I didn't have any available computer because all our computers here in the studio are busy rendering. So this laptop is the only one that I was able to use in order to make this webinar for you guys. So I really hope you learned new stuff today. Actually going to switch and see if you have any questions or anything. You can just go ahead and ask me while this render is going through right here. Okay, so now is the question time, questionnaire. Okay, so the first question: what is with gamma settings? Gamma settings, we're going, you mean gamma LUT in 3DsMax? Well, I have gamma 2.2. As in my book and in my old tutorials, I'm always using gamma 2.2. input 2.2, output 1. Yes, the library, I would love to share it, but it's not my library, it's my friend's. I'm making another library of my stuff, which will be given to all the attenders to the upcoming training, which is more advanced. We're going to do advanced training starting next month. But this stuff is just for free, so all the beginners can take a look how the stuff been made, how the VRay works, and make progress. I think this stuff should be always for free on the internet, and unfortunately I was not able to find a good tutorial that will explain in depth how all this stuff works. So I decided to do a webinar about it and to show you guys how this stuff can be done. Okay, color calibration. Yes. Regarding the calibration, if you want to have the same image that you have on your monitor, you need to calibrate your monitor and you need to calibrate your printer. This way you're going to have linear workflow, you're going to have linear output between them. Yes, I'm using, I used to use Spider 3, but right now I'm using X-Rite device that's called Display 2, i1 Display 2. You can read about this stuff in my blog. I did a video of how to calibrate, how am I using Display 2. So just type my nickname VRay Guide, monitor calibration, and you'll be able to get this video and to see how the linear workflow, how the calibration works, how to set it up properly. Yes, of course. I have VRay Sky in my background. Here you see it's a little bit bluish here. I'm pressing a right click on the mouse and I'm getting this table here of color content. But this one is pretty white, yeah. I would suggest you to put a background, a plane, and on the plane just to put a background, so you'll be able to see this right. I'm not using VRay Sky. I'm using background images on the plane object. My question is if the use of sub-pixel clamp out makes big difference. It makes big difference only if you use high range images. If you render over 8 or 16 bit, if you use 32 bit, you will get more pixel depth. And if you use clamp it just cuts. It cuts it out and it doesn't give you the depth. If you want to have the depth and you want to recover the information, if it's overexposed or underexposed, you can render HDRI, or you can render OpenAXR, which is floating point, and save that image and work it. But in that case, you don't need to activate the clamp out option. Yes, I'm gonna do next week. I'm gonna do another webinar on the post-production stuff, and I'm gonna show you some really cool things, how to do post work and get really nice realistic result. And yeah, everything's gonna be free. So I'm getting here a lot of questions. I see, guys, it's almost 100 users on this webinar, which is pretty cool. And I'm going also to post a recording of this webinar so that you could recap everything that was made during this session. All right. So I really hope you enjoyed this one, and you're welcome to post your comments, after the uploading, I'll be able to answer all of you. I'm going to send you a link of this webinar, of the recording of this webinar, and you'll be able to comment on it, share it with your friends, and also ask questions, because I can see there's a lot of questions. I might miss some of those. And if I missed any question, just go ahead, post it under the new recording, and I'll be able to answer it. All right? So thank you very much. Thanks a lot for attending this webinar. It was really fun to do. And I'll see you next time. In a few days, we're going to do another webinar on the post-production and photorealistic methods and techniques, how to get realistic result only by using Photoshop and additional plugins. All right? So thanks a lot, guys. Thumbs up. I wish you a good rest of the day, and I'll see you soon. All right? Ciao.